your refrigerator is going to die. Maybe it already has. And when it does, everything inside it rots in about 4 days. Meat goes first. Dairy's right behind it. Then the vegetables. Those expensive, nutritious vegetables you bought with the best intentions turn into a soft, moldy, garbage-scented pile of regret. But here's what nobody tells you. People were preserving food for thousands of years before electricity existed, before refrigerators, before plastic wrap, before any of the modern infrastructure you're currently depending on to keep your family fed. And one of the oldest, cheapest, and most nutritionally dense preservation methods ever invented requires exactly 2 ingredients: cabbage and salt. Sauerkraut isn't a garnish for a hot dog. It's a survival food. It's medicine. During the Age of Sail, European ships carried barrels of it to prevent scurvy, the disease that killed sailors by the thousands when they ran out of fresh food. Captain Cook credited it with keeping his crew alive on voyages lasting years. It keeps for months without refrigeration if made correctly. It produces its own preservative through fermentation. It generates beneficial bacteria that will keep your gut functioning when your diet goes sideways. And it costs almost nothing to make. The word sauerkraut is German. It just means sour cabbage. But fermented cabbage goes back far older than Germany. The workers who built the Great Wall of China were fed fermented cabbage to keep them alive and working. Korean kimchi is a first cousin to sauerkraut. Different spices, same fundamental process. Roman legions carried it. Eastern European peasants survived famines on it. This technique is older than nations. It predates modern medicine by thousands of years. And it works because it taps into a biological process that cabbage and salt and beneficial bacteria figured out long before humans understood the science behind it. Learn this now, before you need it. You need 1 head of green cabbage. That's it for the main ingredient. You also need salt, non-iodized salt specifically. So sea salt or kosher salt. Iodine is added to table salt to prevent thyroid disease, which is great for your thyroid and terrible for fermentation. It kills the bacteria you're trying to cultivate. Use the wrong salt, and you get rot, not sauerkraut. The ratio you're working with is roughly 1 to 2% salt by weight. In practical terms, for a medium cabbage weighing around 2 pounds, you want about 1 tablespoon of salt. If your cabbage is larger, use a bit more. If it's smaller, use a bit less. The salt draws moisture out of the cabbage through osmosis and creates the brine that the entire process depends on. For equipment, you need a large mixing bowl, a sharp knife or a box grater, a wide-mouthed jar. A quart mason jar works perfectly, and something to keep the cabbage submerged during fermentation. That last part is critical, and we'll come back to it. You don't need anything special. You don't need to buy fermentation equipment. A jar, a bowl, a knife, and your hands are enough to make food that lasts months. Start with the cabbage. Peel off and set aside the 2 outermost leaves. Don't discard them. They're going to be useful in a few minutes. Cut the cabbage in half, then into quarters. Remove the hard core from each quarter. That's the thick white triangular piece at the base. You don't want it. Now start shredding. You're cutting thin strips, roughly 1/8 of an inch wide. Not paper thin, not thick chunks. Think coleslaw. Consistent size matters because it determines how evenly your cabbage ferments. Thick pieces and thin pieces in the same batch will ferment at different rates, and the texture will be uneven. If you have a mandolin slicer, use it. If you don't, a sharp knife and a little patience do exactly the same job. Pile all of your shredded cabbage into the mixing bowl. Now add your salt. Sprinkle it evenly over the top, and then get your hands in there. You're going to massage and squeeze the cabbage for about 10 minutes. This is the most important physical step in the entire process. What you're doing is mechanical damage. You're breaking down the cell walls of the cabbage so they release their liquid. Squeeze, press, scrunch, repeat. You'll feel the texture change within the first 2 or 3 minutes as the cabbage starts to soften and go limp. That liquid pooling in the bottom of the bowl, combined with the salt, becomes your brine. The brine is what keeps this food safe. It creates an anaerobic environment, meaning one without oxygen, that the beneficial bacteria thrive in and that harmful bacteria cannot survive. If you skip the massage or do it half-heartedly, you won't generate enough brine and you'll have a problem later. 10 minutes feels like a long time when you're squeezing cabbage. Do it anyway. Put on something to listen to. Work through it. The brine you're generating right now is the difference between sauerkraut and compost. After a full 10 minutes of squeezing, the bowl should be filling with liquid. The cabbage will have shrunk down to roughly half its original volume. When you press down on the entire mass with your palm, the liquid should rise up and almost completely cover it. If the cabbage is very fresh and releasing liquid readily, great. If after 10 full minutes you still don't have enough liquid to cover the cabbage when compressed, add a small amount of additional brine. 1 teaspoon of salt dissolved in 1 cup of non-chlorinated water. Tap water in many areas contains chlorine, which interferes with fermentation the same way iodine does. It kills bacteria indiscriminately. Use filtered water, bottled water, or water that's been left sitting uncovered for a few hours so the chlorine can off-gas into the air. Now pack it into your jar. Use your fist or the back of a spoon to press the cabbage down firmly as you add each handful. You want to eliminate air pockets. The goal is dense, tight packing with brine rising around the cabbage as you compress it. Air pockets are where problems start. Work methodically. Press each handful down hard before adding the next. When all the cabbage is in the jar, press down one final time with serious force. The liquid level needs to sit above the top of the shredded cabbage. That's non-negotiable. Submerged cabbage ferments safely. Cabbage exposed to air will mold. This is where those outer leaves come back. Tear a piece of outer leaf to form a cap over the surface of the shredded cabbage inside the jar. It acts as a physical barrier holding the smaller shreds below the brine line. Then you need a weight on top of that. Something to keep everything pushed down and submerged. A small Ziploc bag filled with brine works well. It conforms to the shape of the jar opening and seals off the surface. A small glass jar filled with water that fits inside the opening of your fermentation jar also works. Some people use a clean, smooth stone. Use what you have. The function is simple: constant downward pressure keeping the cabbage below the brine. Do not seal the jar with an airtight lid. Fermentation produces carbon dioxide gas as a byproduct of bacterial activity. If you trap it with a sealed lid, pressure builds and you'll either crack the jar, blow the lid off, or be forced to burp it manually every few hours, which means constantly exposing the surface to air, which defeats the point. Use a loose-fitting lid that allows gas to escape. A piece of cloth secured with a rubber band works perfectly. A coffee filter, a proper fermentation lid with an airlock if you want to invest in one. The goal is gas out, debris and insects out, air circulation minimal. Set the jar somewhere at room temperature. Between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit is the sweet spot. Cooler temperatures slow fermentation and produce more complex, nuanced flavor over a longer period. Hotter temperatures accelerate the process but can push flavor toward overly sharp or even unpleasant territory. Keep it out of direct sunlight, which can heat the jar unevenly and encourage unwanted organisms. A countertop away from the stove is fine. A shelf in a cool pantry is better. Check it every single day. In the first 24 to 48 hours, you're watching for 2 things: brine level and the beginning of bubbling. The salt continues pulling moisture from the cabbage even after it's jarred, so the brine level may actually rise slightly in the first day. The beneficial bacteria, Lactobacillus species that live naturally on the surface of cabbage leaves, will begin converting the sugars in the cabbage into lactic acid. You'll start to see small bubbles forming. You might hear a faint fizzing if you put your ear close to the jar. That's fermentation working. That's exactly what you want. Lactic acid is the key to this entire process. It's what gives sauerkraut its sour flavor. It's also a natural preservative. As the acid concentration in the brine increases, the environment becomes increasingly hostile to harmful bacteria and pathogens, while the lactobacillus bacteria that produced it are perfectly comfortable living in it. The fermentation is essentially self-protecting. The more it progresses, the safer it becomes. This is why properly made sauerkraut can sit at room temperature for weeks without spoiling. The preservation mechanism is actively running the whole time. If the brine level drops below the surface of the cabbage at any point, press down on the cabbage firmly to encourage liquid back up. If that doesn't bring the level above the cabbage, add a small amount of your saltwater solution to bring it back up. Keep the cabbage submerged every single day. This is the one rule you cannot break and cannot compromise on. Everything else in this process has some wiggle room. This does not. You might see white foam forming at the surface during active fermentation. That's normal. It's just carbon dioxide bubbles carrying a little brine with them. Skim it off if it bothers you, or leave it. It's not harmful. You might also see what looks like a thin white film developing on the brine surface. That's likely calm yeast, a harmless, wild yeast that sometimes colonizes the surface of ferments. It's flat, smooth, and white, like a thin film of paper. It won't hurt you. Skim it off when you see it, and push the cabbage back below the brine. Left completely unchecked, it can affect the flavor, but it isn't dangerous and it isn't a sign of failure. What you do not want to see is fuzzy mold, fuzzy growth, green, black, blue, or pink. That looks like the kind of thing you'd find on forgotten bread, is a sign something went wrong. If you see fuzzy mold growing on the cabbage itself, the batch is done. Discard it. The two causes are almost always the same: not enough salt, or cabbage that was above the brine line long enough for air exposure to allow contamination. Both are preventable. Both are avoidable if you follow the ratios and check the brine level daily. After 3 to 4 days, taste it. Use a clean fork and pull out a small amount. At this point, it should be noticeably tangier than raw cabbage, mildly sour, still crunchy, and starting to develop that characteristic fermented flavor. If it tastes good to you at this stage, it's ready to eat now. If you want a more developed, sharper sourness, leave it longer. 1 week produces a mild, approachable sauerkraut that works well for people new to fermented foods. 2 weeks gives you something more robustly sour and deeply flavored. 3 to 4 weeks produces a strong, complex kraut that fermentation enthusiasts prefer. There is no single correct endpoint. Taste it every couple of days and stop when it's where you want it. The temperature of your environment directly affects how fast this happens. A warm kitchen in summer will hit 1 week flavor in 4 or 5 days. A cool basement in winter might take 10 days to reach what a warm kitchen does in 5. Use your palate, not the calendar, as your guide. When it reaches your preferred flavor, move it to cold storage. A refrigerator slows fermentation to nearly nothing. The bacteria are still alive, still active, but operating so slowly that flavor change becomes almost imperceptible. Sauerkraut kept cold this way is stable for months. No refrigerator available? A root cellar? A cool basement? An unheated outbuilding? Any environment consistently below 50 degrees Fahrenheit will significantly slow fermentation and dramatically extend shelf life. Historical accounts of properly made sauerkraut lasting a full year in cold storage are not exaggeration. The process is that stable when conditions are right. Here's what makes sauerkraut genuinely remarkable from a nutritional standpoint, and why survival communities and preppers treat it as a serious food rather than a condiment. Fermentation doesn't just preserve the cabbage, it enhances it. The lactic acid fermentation process increases the bioavailability of vitamin C significantly compared to raw cabbage. The fiber content remains intact, and the billions of live lactobacillus bacteria present in unpasteurized sauerkraut colonize your gut and support immune function, digestive health, and nutrient absorption. In a scenario where your diet has been reduced to shelf-stable basics, rice, beans, canned goods, your gut microbiome takes a hit. Fermented foods help counteract that. The sailors on those long voyages were just eating sauerkraut to prevent scurvy. They were keeping their digestive systems functional on monotonous diets that would otherwise wreck them. Important note on store-bought sauerkraut: almost all of it is pasteurized. Pasteurization kills bacteria, which is why it can sit on a shelf at room temperature in a sealed can. It also kills all the beneficial bacteria that make fermented sauerkraut worth eating from a health standpoint. If you want the nutritional benefit, you have to make it yourself or buy it refrigerated and raw from a specialty producer. For the survival application, long shelf life, no refrigeration, you're making it yourself. A few final things that trip up beginners and are worth stating plainly. Iodized salt kills the ferment. We covered this, but it's the single most common mistake and worth repeating. Insufficient massaging means insufficient brine, which means a failed batch. Sealing the jar airtight during active fermentation means pressure buildup. Checking irregularly means missing a brine drop before mold takes hold. These aren't complicated mistakes. They're simply things you need to know in advance. That 2-pound head of cabbage you started with produces roughly a quart of sauerkraut. That quart is shelf-stable for months under proper cold conditions. It costs less than $2 to make. It requires no electricity, no special equipment, no supply chain, no expertise beyond what you now have. In a world where supply chains fail and grocery stores empty out, knowing how to transform a head of cabbage and a tablespoon of salt into a food that lasts months and improves in nutritional value as it ferments is not a hobby skill, it's a genuine capability. One that kept armies marching, that kept sailors alive for years at sea, that kept entire populations fed through winters that would otherwise have been brutal and deadly. The bacteria that do this work for you have been doing it for longer than civilization has existed. All you have to do is give them the right conditions and get out of the way. Make a batch now, while conditions are easy and stakes are low. Learn the process with your hands so that when the conditions aren't easy and the stakes aren't low, your hands already know what to do. Because when that refrigerator goes dark and the supply chain stops and you're looking at a pile of fresh vegetables that won't last the week, you'll want to already know this.